All right, let's begin. Looks like the time is 6:12. There were some instructions if you want to address the commission on how to go about doing that on the WebEx application, so hopefully you can figure that out. We have two main agenda items that will be coming up too, and I know we have someone that wants to speak on each one of them, so I'll tell you when it's time for that. For right now, let's talk about approval of the February 12th, 2020 minutes. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to make to them? No? All right. Would someone like to make a motion to vote on those minutes?
Commissioner Ball, I'll make a motion to approve minutes as existing.
Thank you, Commissioner Ball. Would someone like to second the motion?
Commissioner Gilbert, I will second.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
No.
No. Wait a minute. Oh, you're right. I think the nature of this, we'll have to go through them one at a time. Commissioner Ball?
Aye.
Commissioner Billsborough? Commissioner Billsborough, are you yay or nay on the meeting minutes for February? Are you with us, Commissioner Billsborough? All right. Let's move on to Commissioner Garrity.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Garrison? He's not here. Commissioner Gilbert?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montero is not here. Commissioner Nucci? Can you hear us, Joe?
Have him raise his hand.
Yeah, can you? Okay, he raised his hand. All right, thanks, Joe. All right, so we have approval of the February meeting minutes. We'll move on then to item 3 on the agenda, requests for certificate of appropriateness for exterior modifications to the Henry Reading House at 1433 East Hall. It's located in the Tomlinson Estates Historic District. The applicant's Carlos Dominguez, who is the architect for the property owner. I did briefly speak to Carlos earlier today. And Joe, do you want to give us some background information on this? Sorry, John. Why did I say Joe? John. Can you hear me, John?
Yes.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Yes. Did you want to give us some background on this case?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a PowerPoint with some images. I'm not sure. Brittany, is that something that we're able to display?
Yes, give us 1 second. We're getting it up right now.
Okay.
Wait, so you should see it now.
I see it here.
Great. Yeah. So the agenda item, this is a request for a certificate of appropriateness for exterior modifications at the Henry E. Reading House at 1433 East Hall. It's within Tomlinson Estates, and it is a contributing property. The architect is Carlos Dominguez, and the property owner is Pam Bellini. Tomlinson Estates is listed in the Tempe Historic Property Register and the National Register of Historic Places. It was platted in 1950. The district does have design guidelines. The design guidelines were approved in 2016. Brittany, if we could have the next slide, please. Thank you. The Henry E. Reading House was built in 1950 as one of the oldest homes in the neighborhood. Again, it is a contributing property. There was a 2006 field survey that identified this house type as a Type B model. Type B models can be viewed on pages 20, 23, 24, 27, 40, and 45 of the design guidelines. On the next several slides, I have an image of the Type B. This is the image shown in the 2006 field survey. The following is the photo from page 20 of the design guidelines. The following is page 23 of the design guidelines, page 24 of the design guidelines, page 27 of the design guidelines, page 40 of the design guidelines, page 45 of the design guidelines, and then the subject property. This is a 2015 Google Street View. So it is clearly a type B property. As we go through the design guidelines for this particular neighborhood, for this type of property, we notice that it is a property without a great deal of ornamentation, simple posts up front, steel casement windows. This has a hipped roof with a carport. Often the carport has a extension, the carport covering roof to the front porch, as is the case with 1433 East Hall. 1433 East Hall at the moment has a great deal of integrity, retains the steel casement windows. It does have a carport that's not enclosed, although at some point in the past it appears that the west-facing interior wall within the carport was moved forward, that is, moved further west than originally constructed. This application, and if we could go to the next slide, please. This application is really quite simple. The applicant proposes retaining the steel casement windows that are in place. It is for a new front porch cover. As you can see in item number 7 here, the 4 posts. These are simple posts, as is consistent with the recommendation in the design guidelines. There are no unnecessary details. I did drive by the home and noticed that there are some bases, wood bases on the posts. However, as those are not proposed, it is presumed that they'll be removed. They're not up for consideration tonight. The next slide here shows the window schedule, and it does show that the casement windows are existing, and they're indicated as number 100 off on the plan there to the left. They are to be retained. The following slide shows the carport plan, it does call, and I apologize, the text is a bit grainy there, but item number 1, new wood framed wall, exterior base to be 3/8 inch stucco. So the recommendation is approval with the condition, that condition being because the design guidelines identify stucco as an inappropriate material, that either the commission stipulate a material to be used in place of stucco, or authorize issuance of a certificate of no effect for a material other than stucco to be determined prior to construction. And that is the entirety of my report. Does anyone have any questions or comments? I'd be happy to entertain them. Also, if the applicant has any points they'd like to make or a presentation.
John?
Yes, sir.
John, this is Chair Voss. Do you have any photos of what it currently looks like, or will the applicant be addressing the issue that the front porch was already rebuilt in a somewhat different manner?
Yes, thank you, Chair Buss. The work has occurred, or there has been work that has occurred without a permit. It started last fall. That work did receive a stop work order. This has been received and is being considered. It is consistent with what is submitted, with the exception, as far as I can tell, of the wood bases at the bottom of the 4 posts on the front porch. But I do have a photo of it. I don't believe Brittany has a current photo, but I'm not sure how I would go about sharing that photo, Chair Boss.
All right. I thought it might be helpful if we did have a current photo to show how it deviates from the original in several ways.
Yes, I have. So there is the 2015 photo on one of the pages of the PowerPoint. Is back at the end of the series of photos. Chair Buss, if you look at that photo, you'll see that the screening material up front that is no longer present. Windows remain, although, as best as I could tell, the porch roof is now higher than was the case previously. It looks as if it's perhaps about a foot higher. Again, that has been constructed, but it was constructed without approval. So should the commission determine that to be inappropriate, certainly in the conditions of approval, that is something that can be addressed.
All right. I'm quite familiar with this property as I live in the neighborhood and have seen it for 30 years. I guess the basics are that the porch was demolished. I have no idea why. When it was rebuilt 15 inches higher than previous. The 4x4 wooden posts were replaced with 6x6 rough sawn, and some sort of plywood chunky bases were added, which I assume were going to be stuccoed later on. So that's kind of the basics of what has changed. At this point, John, do you have any more, or do we want to turn it over to Mr. Dominguez?
No, I don't have any more aside from the fact that the bases, they're not on the plan. They're not up for consideration. It is assumed that because they're not on the plan, they will be removed. And regardless of what the intent was when they were applied.
Right.
Mr. Ball has his hand up.
Yes, Commissioner Ball.
Thank you. I wonder if we could bring up the elevation that is proposed once again from the slideshow. Forward one, I believe. There we go. My question of John first and perhaps of the applicant, do I read this elevation correctly that, thank you, we are asking for permission to accept the existing condition that was constructed prior to permit, I understand, where the roof line has been elevated on the front porch above its original condition, and the original shade structure for the carport will be removed completely in lieu of a parapeted proposed stucco structure for, I believe, a laundry room, as I saw those plans zip by. John, can you confirm that?
Sir, Vice Chair Ball, the applicant is requesting approval of the new height. Again, that is something that was forcibly constructed without a permit. That is something that the Commission's discretion. I'll be quite frank, it was something that I did not initially catch the 1 foot deviation in height. So it is something that I appreciate having pointed out. That is what the applicant is requesting be approved. It is, again, up to the Commission, and this snip here is perhaps not the best indication of what is proposed for the carport. Elsewhere in the plan, the carport, they do propose that the covering continue, which be extended. I will allow the applicant, if he can, to speak to
John,
that.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Could you move your microphone closer to your face?
Is that better?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, certainly, yeah. So yes, the it looks as if, and I'm going through the plans which were included in the packet, but the porch covering is indicated. Let me look at the page here. I'll tell you what, let's, is the applicant available? Is, Carlos, are you able to speak?
This is Carlos. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you,
Hello?
Carlos.
Oh, great. Okay. First of all, well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Everybody, members of the board. I do want to speak, about the project. Like you guys already know, it started as a, construction without a permit. They started doing work. One of the, so the owner started, hiring people on their own to do the work. Once they got the stop of work, the owner was feeling, a little bit shaky of how things should be proceed after that. So he contacted the contractor who's now involved with the project, which then he approached me. I've worked with this contractor for a while now, and he put me up to speed on what was going on. The intention was from the owner to just pretty much remodel the house, still thinking either to do it as a flip or to use it as a rental property. Of course, he wanted to replace, making more energy efficient, thinking, replace with new, with windows, doors. He wanted to do the stucco and, of course, starting with the porch. We, of course, at first we submitted drawings to get the appropriate permits. We did submit it. We got some red lines, and of course, one of the red lines was this needs to have a certificate of appropriateness. Then speaking with the client, I told them, this is not a house that it just sits anywhere in the neighborhood. This is a historic preservation, and we need to comply with the guidelines. So it was, kind of my role to mitigate with the owner and explain them what needs to be done. And definitely, we told them, the windows need to stay the way they are, with the casement windows. We understand one of the windows, the one on the left, the handle there, it's broken. So he was a little concerned, well, where do they sell that? So speaking with you guys earlier, I know there's ways to still keep the integrity of that window. He can replace the hardware, at any of the hardware stores. And so definitely we're keeping the windows, as is noted on the plan. Definitely keeping the doors as well. And then as far as on the stucco on the laundry part, that portion of the building, it's already there, it's constructed. Frankly, I don't know if that had a permit in the past, but due to the fact that it's not, this gives a need to comply, with building code. We're proposing to do some remodel to it and fix it up. As far as the aesthetic of it, I'm open to change it, from stucco to an appropriate finished material. I was even thinking, maybe have brick, wood siding, or anything that's needed to comply with the design guidelines. And then, of course, keeping the porch, the height of the porch, of course, like you guys mentioned, it's that's the existing condition. Not sure what else we can do. I'm kind of trying to go in the middle there where I can tell the owner we're keeping the windows, doors. Definitely will remove those posts and casements. The intention was to put like stone veneer or stucco it. I told the owner that needs to go away. We're gonna create just a single simple post going from the beam down to the concrete, and that's what we're proposing. As far as the paint goes, we're definitely going to be matching the existing of the house. So that's the condition.
All right, thanks, Carlos.
And Vice Chair Ball, did that answer the question? I think, Carlos, there's also a question about the porch cover extending to the carport. Can you help us with where that is detailed on the plans?
Yeah, actually, before we answer that question, I'd like to follow up. As part of this work has been completed to date, could I get a clarification? Has the laundry room already been framed with a parapet roof construction higher than the existing eave of the main mass of the house? Is that
No,
existing?
it hasn't. Correct. No. So right now, the laundry, it is just existing as it is, not per my drawing. So the laundry, it has the same shape per se with the flat roof there, but I was proposing to raise a little bit on the parapet. So yeah, I mean, right now it's just as an existing laundry extension. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Dominguez.
Could I weigh in some more on that? Being so familiar with these houses and helping to create the design guidelines, I was even more familiar with them. The old carport that's been enclosed into some kind of livable space, it was done by a previous owner. It's been this way for decades, as long as I've lived there, which is a long, long time. The carport and the front porch all used to be at the same height. The bottom of the roof structure of the porch and carport, the bottom of it was 7 foot above the slab. The top of it was 7'6". The new rebuilt porch cover, the bottom of it is at about 8'3", and the top of it's about 8'9". It does then require a fairly tall parapet wall structure on top of the front of the enclosed carport to get that roof from the 7'6" finished top height to get it to that, from that 7'6" up to the 8'9". So it does leave this exposed parapet wall that you see from the front of the house from the street. I know they went through a lot of work rebuilding this or raising it. I'm still puzzled why they did, but they went through a lot of work to build this porch roof higher. And having looked at it for months, I think a simple solution to bring some of the character back would be to get rid of those chunky bases at the base of the posts and replace the 6x6 posts with 4x4, which was the original post size for the porch. The beam up above is a 4x6, so it would actually look better construction-wise too, to go back to the 4x4 smooth surface posts, which all the homes in the neighborhood have for their front porches. None of them have this massive 6x6 rough sawn territorial looking wood.
And Chair Buss, this is John Southard. I'm going to send Brittany a photo that I took on February 28th of this year. So hopefully she'll be able to pull that up. I'm sending it right now.
John,
Yes.
I actually don't have access to that right now. But what I can do is
Oh,
I can
okay.
make you a presenter.
You can do what now?
I can make you a presenter. Are you ready?
Let me get the photo up here first. Yes, so it will show my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, go ahead. Okay, can everyone see that?
No, wait, give a second. Okay, so now you're the presenter and you can share it.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, now can everyone see that?
Yes, sir.
Great. So this was as of February 28th of this year. So Jeff, perhaps this will allow you and Carlos as well to speak to exactly what you're referencing.
That's a good
Correct,
photo,
yes.
John.
So correct, yes, as you guys can see, we got the the 6x6 rough some posts with those base wood base columns. Like I said, those definitely will be away. Will go away. I did speak with the owners and the contractor about the 6x6, and I told them, we can revise and change those posts into a 4x4. I think it should be fine. Of course, I'll have to do some recalcs on the beam size. I think it should be fine. Just dropping out to 4x4. Not sure, might have just add one more, maybe, I don't know. I'll just have to do the calcs for it. But 4x4 definitely will do that, and create that character that we're looking for.
All right, thanks, Carlos. That would be a more appropriate size. I don't know what you're going to do about this parapet wall that was created that we can see at the left side of the photo. It is rather awkward. And then there is the issue of the stucco finish. There is an idea for the stucco. I used it on my own carport enclosure, which was lap siding, horizontal lap siding, which is in keeping with the character of the, all these homes had a carport with a shed at the head of the carport that was made out of redwood lap siding. And then the homes that do have a gable end, you can actually see the neighbor to the right has a triangular gable, and it's covered in lap siding. As a matter of fact, I think that neighbor enclosed the carport and also did it in lap siding as well. But that gives you an idea of what lap siding looks like. It might be an idea. Just a thought.
I was actually going that route, to probably some lap siding and on that particular, instead of the stucco, either that or board and batten, whichever the two.
And they do make a cement product now for the lap siding. The redwood is way too expensive, but they do make it a cement product which will never rot.
Great. Okay.
And Chair Buss and Carlos, there is a photo. I'm looking through the design guidelines right now. There is a photo that depicts what appears to be original material. If you'll allow me just a couple of moments here, I'll continue scrolling through. It may be page 45. Well, I'll continue looking through here, but there is a photo of what was in the design guidelines.
While you look for that, John, if everyone looks closely at the photo, you can see right above the steel casement windows, the tan-colored paint of the house suddenly ends, and you see this gray block. That is where the original height of the porch cover was. It started right at the top of the window and went up 6 inches above that. If you look to your left where what remains of the carport is still there, you can see, look carefully on the stucco wall, you can see about 5 or 6 sawed off 2x6s that used to be part of the lower carport structure that were sawed off before it got raised 15 inches. Just to give you some idea what the whole thing used to look like.
I did find the photos here. Let me share them. I apologize. Okay, so Here it's a bit difficult to see, but if you look toward the back, you can see the horizontal wood applied there. Can everyone see that?
Yes, we can see that, yes.
Yes, thank you.
And then there is, I believe, another example on the following page. Yes, we also see a bit of the horizontal wood here.
Yes.
So if that
Good,
is,
okay.
anyone needs to see more, we can continue to share here. Otherwise, I'll stop sharing the screen.
Yes. Commissioner Ball.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair Buss. One of the elements that we can see in these diagrams that John has provided for us is the level of detail associated with the original framing for that eave condition of the porch. Includes a little rafter tail, which adds a note of delicacy to, in addition to the 4x4 posts and beams that were used in the original framing, that is now missing from the current configuration of the porch, which, based upon the elevations that that we have in the report and are still visible here in the room, on the far side of the room, I'm looking at them. I wonder if one of the things that we might consider as one of our stipulations to this request is to expose some of those rafter tails by cutting down the depth of the board at the perimeter of the roof as it is framed now. That would help to expose some of the character of the way that the building has been put together, even though it's not original to the building. That, combined with the removal of the plywood base elements at the base of the columns and painting the posts and beams in a character that is like to the original, might help to rectify the situation, while perhaps not bringing the eave back down to its original height. And I know that there may be some pushback on that. However, one of the challenges that these structures do have in having an asphalt shingle roof on that low slope is that the roof will not wear well over time with that extremely low slope over the porch. I've had a house of similar character in the past where that was a problematic element. So I put it out there as something that we might consider in stipulating on this proposal to try to recreate some of the delicacy of the original.
Thanks, Commissioner Ball. I would also like to add, I don't condone what happened here with raising it so much, and I'll never understand why it was done. But in discussing this with Carlos earlier today, I said it would almost be better, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, that since you've already raised the porch roof so much, to keep rolling with it above the carport. This house had a carport, most of which has been enclosed, and then behind the carport, going into the backyard, is a boxy structure that was added on by a previous owner, and it sits higher. It sits at about the height of this newly constructed front porch. It just looks very awkward when you see it from this camera angle, to see the new porch sitting up there 15 inches higher than the old roof. I think it actually brings more attention to the fact that it is at a different height than it used to be, that maybe by continuing with the taller height behind it over the old carport, we might not notice this change in height as much as we notice it right now. And I know the applicant will be doing more work on the property, so it would be something to consider to make it look less objectionable to raise the carport as well. It's just a suggestion. I know we can't go beyond the front of the house and what we say on the commission, but it would look less, like I said, it would look less awkward. Yes, Commissioner Ball.
If there are no other members who wish to add a comment, could I make a motion at this point that we create a stipulation to the conditions of approval that would require the exterior coating of the laundry room to be completed in a horizontal lapboard siding, that the extension of the patio cover that goes to the, I believe it would be the southern extent of the laundry room, shall be removed as is illustrated on the proposed elevation beyond the extent of the original residential structure, and that the base plywood elements should be removed from the posts. The batten board at the extent of the current roof structure shall be cut down to expose framing members, and that the entire framing of the porch structure shall be painted. And that would be the end of my motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Ball. I would like to add, too, that we include that the posts that are there be replaced with 4x4 smooth posts, like all the homes would originally have had in this neighborhood. And that would be a very easy change to make, very inexpensive. But it would go a long way towards restoring some of the character that was lost. Do we?
So Brittany or Steve, do we need Vice Chair Ball to incorporate that as an amendment to his motion and then get a second? How do we proceed with that?
John, that is correct. We need to have a firm condition, and it needs to be seconded and then voted upon.
Commissioner Ball?
Thank you.
I would move to amend my earlier motion to add the replacement of the existing columns in front of the house to 4x4 wood posts.
Thank you, Commissioner Ball. Would someone like, was there any discussion, or do we want to just move to a second on that? All right, would someone like to make a second to Commissioner Ball's motion?
Harrison, I'd like to second.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Larson.
I
And,
think, Chair Buss, I think that was Commissioner Garrison.
oh, that is
Aye.
Commissioner Garrison. I recognize your voice now. Welcome to our group. You weren't here earlier. Glad you could join us. All right, well, thank you, Commissioner Garrison. So we have a motion with an addition to it. Let's see who's in favor of this. We'll start with Commissioner Ball.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Billsborough? Are you still with us, Commissioner Billsborough? He's not here. Okay, moving on. Commissioner Garrity?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Garrison?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilbert?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Thank you. And Commissioner Nucci? Can you raise your hand at least, or signify? He raised his hand. All right. That's an aye from Commissioner Nucci. All right. Seems to be unanimous that we are approving this certificate of appropriateness with the conditions that we just mentioned. And I guess that will be it then. Thank you, Mr. Dominguez, for talking to us about it. And good luck with
My pleasure. Thank you guys for the participation. Thank you.
Okay, I'm glad we could resolve it.
Chair Bus,
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm
Did you
glad
vote?
too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I realized I just forgot to vote myself. I would vote for yes. So, yes, thank you, Mr. Dominguez.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Project. All right, let's move
Thank you,
on
thank
to agenda item number 4, a discussion of the 1924 Fitzhugh and Byron designed Tempe Depot located at 300 South Ash. And you have some background for us, John?
I do, yes. We have a historic photo in the PowerPoint we can share just for context. Well, these will work as well. I believe this is the applicant's presentation. The Tempe Depot was built in 1924, as mentioned in the agenda item title. It was designed by Fitzhugh and Byron. It is, despite the addition of the Depot Cantina in the mid-1980s, the Depot building itself does retain a high degree of integrity. We're very fortunate in the sense that the restaurant was essentially tacked on to the Depot. Walked the building, found that it does retain a great deal of integrity down to the southern platform being in place, some additions that are reversible. The depot was determined eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places in the 1980s. However, at the time it was owned by the railroad and the railroad objected to listing. The depot is not listed in the Tempe Historic Property Register. So as we proceed with this and look at redevelopment, the depot itself is not subject to any formal protection or formal review and approval process on the part of the HPC. So we're fortunate to be working with a developer and a team that are sensitive to the significance of the depot. And with that, I'll turn it over to Alex. I know that he is going to make an introduction for the individuals who will be speaking.
Yeah, commissioners, I'd like to introduce the team, but first I'd like to say something in terms of us working with them over the past almost a year now. As many of you know, I'm not a preservation professional like Mr. Southard, but I've done quite a bit of development work for the city, and I've sort of noodled my way and learned a little bit about what it takes to get preservation work done. And I think two of the most important factors in doing that are technical ability and commitment to your cause. And I think Mr. Barry Shanahan from Red Development has demonstrated both of those in spades over the past year. His site is complicated not only by this depot, but by Bureau of Reclamation irrigation line, by some issues that he's had to work with Valley Metro and the city on. So this is a very complicated, very technical site. And Barry's done nothing but prove that he does his homework and operates fairly. So I just wanted to say that up front before Barry starts talking, and that we've worked with the planning department. What you see here might not be the latest iteration of the project, but we continue to make progress with Barry on the design of the project. And from the get-go, John and I have told him how important this depot was, and he's done nothing but support its preservation thus far. So with that, I'll turn it over to Barry.
Can people hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Angela, are you available as well?
Yeah, I need to be unmuted.
I can hear you now.
Oh, there you go. Oh, you can hear me. Oh, great. Yes. Hi, Chairman Boss, members of the commission.
Hello.
For your record, Mangela Vaz, Gamage and Burnham. Yes, I am available as well.
So,
Thank you.
Angela,
Thanks, Brittany.
what I'd like you to do, because of your familiarity with this council and the processes more than I am, what I'd like you to do is kind of lead the discussion. So if you could do the play-by-play, I'll jump in for the color commentary and we'll introduce this.
Okay. Brittany, if you wouldn't mind, or John, I'm not sure who had the screen up. Greg. Great. Awesome. Thank you. So members of the commission, what we wanted to do, and we appreciate you giving us the opportunity on your agenda tonight, is, as Alex said, we are, well, very early in the public portion of this process. Barry and the Red Development Team, along with the property owners, the Johnson family, who own the Macayos, have been working on this site for a long time, and we won't get into all the issues, but they're not only technical issues, but also property owner issues that have taken us a while to kind of get to here. Let me take my hand out. Anyway, so we were starting to talk with the planning department. We wanted to start talking to kind of some of the neighbors and start talking to people. And then obviously COVID-19 came. So you are the first public people we are really speaking to. And this is very much an informal presentation. Just wanted to, as Alex said, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Red, but Barry's been very passionate about the depot. It's very important to us. So we wanted to kind of just present the project. We're still early in the process. I haven't had a neighborhood meeting or anything, but I just wanted to kind of have you all look at it. I mean, we all know each other and just kind of talk through it. So next slide, please, Greg or Brittany. So Barry, do you want to talk a little bit about Red? And we can, yeah, go ahead.
Do this
Hold
very
on.
quickly.
Hold on. Okay, yeah, this play work. Go ahead, Barry. Okay, yeah, thanks, Greg.
26-year-old company, have developed properties in the Midwest and Southwest.
Next slide,
Many-
please. Hold on, Greg. Next slide. I don't know how to do this, but we need the slide that has, this is fine. Okay, stay here. Okay, go ahead, Barry.
Anyways, began developing real estate 26, 27 years ago, predominantly in the retail arena, lifestyle centers, Midwest, Southwest locations. And we had the opportunity 2006-07 to acquire a number of blocks in downtown Phoenix, which led to the development of the Cityscape project that I'm sure you all are familiar with to some degree.
Go ahead, sorry.
That experience caused us to kind of fall in love with mixed-use development. And while we continue to own retail properties going forward, our development footprint, we like urban areas, we like these downtown opportunities, and we really see mixed-use development as just a wonderful, wonderful thing. So that's a little bit about us. I won't get into too much detail. We've also done a project very similar to Cityscape in the Union in Dallas. And then a number of years ago, had the opportunity to hold hands with.
Next slide, please, Greg. Sorry, Barry. Then you can, there you go. Go ahead.
Perfect. Okay. So shots of Cityscape that I'm sure you all have seen. And one of the most characteristic aspects of it is we get to close, the city allows us to close Central Avenue at Christmas and build this skating rink and do our own desert version of the Rockefeller Center and skating. So it's pretty cool. I had the opportunity a couple of years ago to hold hands with Fry's for a downtown location, and last fall opened Block 23, which is a 65,000 square foot Fry's on 3 levels. Parking garages for the residential below that, retail and the commercial above that. We'll have a number of opportunities for restaurants. There's a Blanco under construction and a Chase Bank under construction. And then above that, we've got about 230,000 square feet of Class A office space targeted towards technology tenants. So we continue to look in our backyard for opportunities to do great projects and help support the strength of downtowns and the strength of cities and mixed use development. And we had the opportunity to reach an agreement with the owners.
So hold on, next slide. I'm sorry, Barry. I'm going to stop for a second. So let's keep going. Next slide, Greg. I want to get.
That's the Union in Dallas. There you go.
Okay.
Anyways, so we're thrilled to be here, and Alex and John challenged us to try to find a way to save the depot. We think it's a spectacular challenge coupled with the other challenges of the physical aspects of this piece of real estate. And we think we've come up with some creative ideas and would love to listen to your thoughts.
Okay, hold on. So next slide, Greg. I mean, so Smith Group is going to be our architect, but I think you all know, I'm just going to go through some of this quickly and then we can talk about it. A little harder to be more free-flowing this discussion. So what Barry and I will try to do is kind of give you the highlights of the project. Maybe we can have a brief discussion and then, you know, however you'd like, we're happy to continue to talk to you, whether over Zoom or in this kind of format. I hope one day.
I wanted to just briefly add that both John Tran and Chris Ledwith from Smith Group are on the call with, or are available to join the call.
Oh, perfect. Okay, perfect.
Commission would like.
Okay, perfect. And then I was gonna say, I hope one day we're all able to be back together again and
Me too.
have this conversation a little easier. But I think all of you know just briefly the site location and what you'll see from here. Two things. One is the shape of the site and how it kind of goes down to a point. The other thing that you'll see, and I know that some of you know well, is just the location of the depot. Well, obviously, a great location to get train tracks is a difficult location on this site in that as you develop the site, it's on the back of the site. So that has caused some constraints that, you know, Barry can talk to and Chris and John can talk to either now or at a later date. Next slide, Greg. So just to, I don't need to go through this, but here are just some existing conditions. I think we're all familiar with the site. Next slide. Thanks, Greg. Next slide. Go next slide, Greg. Thanks. So, Barry, do you want to go through kind of what you're thinking? It is going to be a mixed-use project, but, you know, office, hotel. Do you want to kind of talk kind of generally? I don't have to read all these things, but generally what we're talking about, and then we'll show you some pictures. And if you want to read this, Barry would like me to.
I can.
Just like kind of your broader scope of your kind of your retail business, and I think that would be helpful. As we bring, let me go to the next slide. Might be helpful also. Good. Oops, not that one. Keep going. Sorry. Sorry, this is a little difficult trying to not do this one. And what's the next one, Greg? That might be helpful with both Barry and I. And one more. This one. Okay. So this one, Barry, I think when we talked before, kind of with playing off that other side, but kind of showing where the office, hotel, and retail are, I think this is a good side for you to start talking about.
Yeah, so the primary concept is to activate the ground level of the project in a way that recognizes and honors, celebrates the just amazing transit connectivity of the site. In addition to the light rail that comes through the project to the station just a few hundred feet to the east, you all are in the process of constructing at this time the streetcar system, which will have a stop here just to the left of the second driveway that you see. So you see the light rail here, you see the entrance for the hotel, and just to the left of that, doesn't show on this depiction, is the streetcar stop. We also have a bus location, and the other thing that's quite interesting is in the Maricopa Association of Governments long-term transit studies and program, the train depot location in this specific location, City of Tempe, is thought to be one of the commuter rail stops in that transit system if and when it gets built and funded. So we think it's the most spectacular transit-oriented location in the entire state of Arizona. And certainly with bus, streetcar, light rail, and commuter line would be a spectacular location anywhere in the country. At the ground level, we really want to activate and build a retail presence in this location, significantly expanded from the restaurant that's there today. There will be arrival locations for both the office lobby and the hotel lobby, of course, but we look for a larger restaurant opportunity in the retail that's just to the right of the streetcar line in this depiction. It comes all the way out to Ash. We look for the depot itself to be brought into the utilization of the project. That might be a coffee shop, it might be a bike shop, it might be a restaurant or maybe a specialty dining space related to one of the other restaurants that might operate on the property. And then the retail shown to the right of the hotel lobby and to the left of the hotel lobby would be retail as well. We would hope it would be food in nature. The area to the between the train depot and the light rail line in Ash is while it is covered by a building, it is an open area that we see being kind of a plaza amenity area that can be programmed for special events. Those could be things ranging from us joining in the programming of something that's already planned in the city of Tempe and downtown. You've got a number of things that happen on an annual basis where you've got a very centralized focus, and a lot of properties around the downtown area become engaged in that process. We do this a lot at our Cityscape project in downtown Phoenix. Many of those are events that we lead, such as the ice rink. Others are events that we join in. One of the ones that's really kind of fun is there's a dinner that takes place where the restaurants, we kind of close Central Avenue, and the restaurants put tables in the middle of Central Avenue, and this dinner happens that kind of runs up Central Avenue and connects all these kind of restaurants together, and we've participated in that. It's other things that are maybe community support things. We do an event called over the top, I think it's over the top of the wall. Anyways, it's a fundraiser to benefit Special Olympics, where people actually rappel down the side of the office tower to the amenity deck, and they raise money to do that. It raises a lot of money for Special Olympics. So farmers markets, movies in the park, wine tasting events, those types of things, both initiated by others that we tag into or that we initiate for the property, et cetera. But we look for this to have a very industrial, railroad, trestle kind of a feel, and for that to be available for those events and the public to join us in that location. So
Yeah.
the other things that we've got to do that are
Hold on,
meaningful
Barry,
at this level.
I don't
Go
want to
ahead.
interrupt you. If I can just add one thing, just to give people, if you have some, I'm sure you've been down Cityscape, but the other thought to think about in terms of what we were thinking in terms of programming the plaza is what you would see at Centerpoint in front of the theater, kind of that hardscape area where you have next to the Jackrabbits and kind of that water feature, but where they have the Christmas tree, obviously, the Christmas tree lighting, and they have a bunch of other events, but that's kind of what we see to try to bring people into the site and celebrate the depot, kind of, because you'll see how the design works and how we a little bit have to span it a little bit, but try to make sure that people experience the depot, and that we're bringing people into the site the same way kind of Centerpoint works, just to give you a sense of that. Sorry, Barry.
The other more mundane things is we've got to have a loading area for trash and transformers and all those things to support the hotel building that'll be on top of this. Same thing true on the office side of light rail. We've got to have a ramp to get people up into a garage. So there are a lot of really complicated things to do. There's a existing, there's a Salt River easement in the location of where the number 5 is in the leftmost location on this depiction that we've also got to build over the top with. We've had a lot of conversations with SRP about how to do that. So this is the ground level of it. That's really the connection of the future building to the city and to the downtown area and to these transit systems and to the pedestrian activity and those types of things. Above this, we're currently pursuing a 280 key Hilton Hotel, full Hilton, not a brand like a Homewood Suites or something, a full Hilton Hotel with about 10,000 square feet of conference facility. We had a little over 300,000 square feet of Class A office space that is above, and then the parking garage to support those. So the next levels that you'll see as you come up on this are garage in orientation, and then You reach level 8, which is kind of an amenity deck level that the hotel resides on. That's kind of the beginning of the office project.
Greg, can you go 2 slides from where this current slide is? There you go. I think this is helpful to describe what you're saying.
This is from the west side, and John Tran and Chris Ledwith from Smith Group are also available with us here, so they can jump in. This is a view at the top from the west. This is the westernmost elevation that shows the office building on the north side. This is the narrow side of the rectangle of the office building. The hotel, this is kind of the long run that you see. So this is the south face of the hotel, a series of garage levels. And then at the amenity deck level is where we've got pool and programmable space and the conference facilities and a series of meeting rooms, et cetera. So whether that's business conference and orientation or weddings, any one of a number of different events. We are fully approved by Hilton at this point. This is not a speculative venture. We're approved by Hilton and are working with them on the details. And then Red has built a number of office buildings similar to this. So that's the overview.
And then I think the next slides we have are just some perspectives that we can walk you through. Again, as Alex said, we're still early in on the planning department, so we haven't been, we're working through some designs, and these designs will change. But you can kind of see how they work. But one of them.
So let's stop there for just a second. Let me just hit one thing. So
about the public art.
Yeah. Good. About the project that we did in Dallas, we were encouraged to consider some public art. And one of the things that we did in Dallas is we found a very highly regarded local artist who did this. This is an art piece that they provided. And we turned it into kind of a mural that actually provides some of the screening to the garage. And we like that idea of finding a way to connect locally to someone with experience and relevance to the city of Tempe. We used that depiction because we had it and we were familiar with it. Actually, that's not what we would do here. We would do something more local, but we really like that idea. We think it's kind of fun and playful. It adds a unique dimension to the project. And you can also see here kind of where the light rail is coming out from underneath the building, et cetera.
Yeah, and I think, Greg, we have one more, which is just a pedestrian perspective. Yeah, just to give you.
And we'll develop some perspectives that take us into where the plaza area is adjacent to the train depot. We haven't developed those at this point, but we will prior to being back in front of you formally.
Yeah. So we can talk more about this, but I think, unless you have other things, Chairman Buss, we just wanted to just show you this. We're happy to answer any questions. The guys at Smith Group are happy to answer questions. We just want to give you kind of an informal presentation, get some feedback from you all. And thank you for your time.
Very much thank you for your time.
All right, thanks, Greg and Manjula. Do you have any drawings that show us how the train depot would look? I did see one. Excuse me. Was there any side views maybe showing how the train depot related to the building masses behind it?
We haven't developed those. We haven't developed those at this point. Okay. We recognize that as something we need to get done, but the intention is to restore the depot as close as we can to its original condition, architecturally and configuration, layout, etc.
All right, yeah, I look forward to seeing more drawings so we can see how it relates to the depot, to make sure that it doesn't totally overwhelm it, what sort of distance there is behind it and all that. I do like the art mural. I'd actually love to see it expand to the right across that whole building face. That would look very nice. Was there any other commissioners that had comments? Commissioner Ball?
Thank you. I appreciate the team joining us to give us a brief view of what your plans are on the site. And it is a challenging site, to be sure. There is a lot happening there. a lot of different competing needs on that site. And I appreciate that you are working to try to maintain that existing structure, where in past efforts looking at that site, that was not the case. So I really applaud you for working hard to try to find a home for that little structure within this larger context. It occurs to me in taking a look at the west elevation that some thought has already been given to how to accommodate the central mass of the station, which it has to be said, the public face of the station faced the tracks as opposed to our street system today. That is the more refined facade of that old building. And there's definitely been some effort so far to try to accommodate the column grid structure of the parking garage to come down to the north and to the south of the central mass of the station itself. One thought I would offer the design team as you continue to develop things is that the respect for the original structure and the character of the space in which it sits might be improved if you were able to omit a small amount of parking on the deck immediately above the station in order to give it a little more breathing room within its new home. Kind of a jewel within a jewel box setting, if you will. And that's something that I would ask for you to explore to see if there's any potential in allowing it a little bit more visual space within the context of the new structure.
Just on a comment, thanks, Commissioner Ball. Actually, Marty, I appreciate your comments. We've actually started to think a little bit about that also. So thank you very much.
Are there any other commissioners that wanted to say something on this? Have any questions? No? All right.
We really appreciate your review of this evening, and we look forward to refining these thoughts and bringing it back to you and securing your support for this.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman and the rest of the commission, certainly if you have other comments, please let John and Alex know or reach out to me. I know most of you know where I am. I'm happy to just walk you through. If you have questions that come to you, we can talk over Zoom or we can give them to John and Alex. But we appreciate your time. Thank you for allowing us to do this tonight.
Well, thank you for coming to us. All right, let's move on to item 5, chair and staff updates. I can't think of anything myself other than I'm glad we're having a meeting after all this time. John, did you have something for us?
Yes. Unfortunately, the HP conference, which was slated to be held in Tempe this year, has been canceled, the in-person conference, for obvious reasons. There will be a one-day virtual conference that is scheduled for June 18th. You can register for that through the same page that you would for the in-person conference. It is anticipated that the in-person conference will resume next year as planned in Phoenix. So unfortunately, we will not be hosting the conference here in Tempe this year. However, as relates to the conference, I do have some good news and congratulations for the commission everyone was involved in each of the projects that led to this. We won the Governor's Heritage Preservation Award for the Tempe Butte beautification. That is the undergrounding of the power lines, the water tank project, painting the tanks, ensuring that there was minimal ground disturbance, etc., and removing the towers from the top. So that's very exciting news. It will be presented virtually as opposed to in person, as would be the case. And fingers crossed that in addition to that, our project is selected for the Garrison Award, which would be a real honor. Other news, I visited the Hayden House today. It is coming along very, very nicely. We're probably within a month of completion. We're working on some interior details in terms of the exterior adobe. They're working on the Middle Avenue wall and just a small portion of the east side of the Rio Salado elevation there. Next door, they are excavating for the office building that continues to be monitored by Logan Simpson. They are, as I understand it, nearing sterile. The majority of the excavation site, there will be likely a portion of the site is currently a truck ramp that will need to be monitored at a later point. We do now have an approved protection plan for the office project. We had a meeting at the property last Friday to do a walkthrough. There was, as I understand it, a photographic assessment of the interior and exterior yesterday, and there will be a laser scanning along with some survey measurements to occur next week. There are vibration sensors in place. We've worked with Bob Graham and Mel Slazeman to determine appropriate levels. We are getting, or rather we have a system set up to provide alarm notices via both text and email should there be exceedances. We have a process in place to review what caused those and work to ensure that the excessive vibration, should they occur, do not continue to occur. So things are moving along nicely there as well. I believe those are the major developments. We have quite a few smaller projects, still people seeking certificates of no effect, one for a chain link fence at the rear of a property in Maple Ash 1220 South Mill, a couple of other things, but and this is great interest. We continue to make progress on our 1961 to 1975 and pre-1961 survey and inventory, and our HP plan. Work on that is really just begun. And just today we had our first meeting with the Logan Simpson team regarding our cultural resource inventory and blanket monitoring, discovery, and protection plan. So some big things that we're working on, some very exciting things, and we hope in the very near future here to also get back out on 8th Street for phase 2. So a lot in the works.
All right, well, thanks, John. I think that covered some of our agenda item 6 items as well. Do you have anything from item 6 for us, or was that pretty much it?
That's it for me.
Okay.
If item 6, I believe that includes member announcements.
Right. Do we have any
if I'm not
commissioners that
mistaken.
have any announcements? Or any future agenda items you'd like to see? No? All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up then. And we will conclude the May 13th, 2020 Historic Preservation Commission meeting. And our time is 7:26. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you particularly for your assistance and insight with 1433 Hall. It's greatly appreciated.
Oh, thank you very much, too.
Yeah, and I'd just like to thank Steve and Brittany for helping us get this together, and for the commissioners for helping us get this meeting on the books for today. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, we will see you again next time, hopefully not 3 months from now.
What were you
There was supposed to be another slide, and I forgot about
Oh.
item number 6. But